Hi, I'm Andi.
And I'm Ayla.
And welcome to
Sinister Dynasty.
What I'm doing today is a very, very old case. Years ago, about Minnie Dean. So, trigger warning. I mean, it's everywhere anyway. We're a very lighthearted podcast, I guess you call it. But this case is about the deaths of children, and it's not. You should notice that there's an S on the end death, so it's not just one. There's quite a few. So keep that in mind as you're listening.
And if you don't want to listen, we'll catch you up on the next one.
Yes.
Well, we'll see you on the next one. We're not going to catch you up about this case on the next one.
So, but if you do want to listen, go ahead. I'll try and make it as lighthearted as possible. But Minnie Dean did not start as Minnie Dean. She started as Minnie McCulloch.
Scandal.
That's all. So she was born on the 2nd of September in 1844 in Scotland. So far away from here. Plot twist. Not even a plot twist. I'm not from Scotland. What am I saying? My family's from Scotland. So could we be related? I hope not. Anyway, so she had 7 siblings and all of them were girls. So growing up, she had her mum, her dad. She also had herself and her 7 siblings. So there's 10 people in one household.
Fuck that.
I'm guessing houses were quite small back then as well. Oh, take it back, actually. There could be real big old houses there too. I know.
Fuck that.
Yeah, horrible. Anyway, I have one sister and it's horrible. I couldn't imagine sharing things with 7 sisters. So her dad was a railway engineer, and unfortunately her mum died of cancer in 1857. So that's a bummer.
Were they able to diagnose that back then?
Fair point. I don't know. Maybe so. In the early 1860s, she moved to Invercargill. Big move.
Yeah,
from
Scotland.
Although it might not have actually been from Scotland, because it says down here it was from Tasmania.
Okay, so they moved from Scotland to Tas.
Yeah,
and then from Tas to Invercargill.
So downgrading by the sounds of it.
I know, Tas seems
no
nice.
offense to Invercargill. But by this time, she was known as Mrs. McCulloch, and she was a widow with 2 small daughters.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, and so this is where the Tasmania bit came from. Her neighbours thought that she'd come from Tasmania, and that her husband, who was a doctor, had died.
Had been eaten by them devils.
Probably. Or spiders. They're very big over there. We'll blame the devils or the spiders. I like that. So here's a little bit of a plot twist. I'm going to be using that word a lot through here, those words. There was no evidence of her marriage or the death of her husband. So she'd come over to New Zealand. There was no... Well, no, there was no evidence of it at all.
Oh, yeah.
That she'd been married or that he died. So I looked into this a little bit more. No, I didn't. I just read another article.
That counts.
Yeah, it counts. So RNZ looked into this as well, and they advised that it was common for new migrants to lie about their backgrounds. So also going into it a bit more, it's ages ago. So remember, she was born in 1844. So in the 1860s, women with no husbands and children, it's quite hard for them to... There's that bit of a block there, like there's something...
It's quite frowned upon.
Yeah, it was very frowned upon. That's what I was looking for. So that's what they said as well. Yeah. They also said that Minnie came to New Zealand with 1 daughter and was pregnant with another, but same thing. She had 2 daughters, all good. So, yeah, pretty much women who were unwed and had children, just society frowned very much on them.
Yes.
Very, very much. So it was a possibility that she might have lied about her marriage to make her fit in a bit more, because if her husband died, then
it's still frowned upon today. Like, my mum was a solo mum, and she is a badass bitch. I could not imagine her with a partner, eh?
Yeah.
She just thrives too much.
Good on her. We're all for women here. Well, no.
We're all for everyone.
Yeah, all for everyone.
Except Minnie Dean.
Yes. And we will continue. So we keep getting sidetracked. We're going to keep going.
It's been a long time since we've
I'm
done
up
this.
to like the third paragraph.
Nice.
So they, RNZ, again going back to their article, because I found quite a bit of information on there, they said that Minnie had a famous aunt who was a founding settler of Invercargill. So that's probably why Minnie came over. Again, if you found Invercargill, why would you want to stay there? With her aunt being a founding settler of Invercargill, then that might have helped push the lie of her dead husband, quotation marks, into the community.
She'd also be quite a profound name.
Yeah.
A profound family, a profound person. Is that the right word? Profound?
I think so. I'm not that
good
smart.
enough.
Good enough. All good. So, again, she came over in the early 1860s, and in 1872, Minnie McCulloch became Minnie Dean. She married a dude called Charles Dean. So, they lived in, forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce it, Etoll Creek, somewhere down south, which was close to the Otago goldfields, and they worked together in a pub.
Oh!
Very cool. I'd love to work in a pub and just get free drinks all the time.
You cannot serve drunk, Andy.
What do you mean? Lies. But when the gold rush died down, so obviously the gold rush was going on down then. But when that died down, the inn obviously lost all its customers because there was nobody drinking to get over a hard day of work gold mining. So that's when they turned to farming. So Charles had a 300-acre property on which he ran 150 sheep. 300 acre property. That's
only 150 sheep on a 300-acre property.
Maybe he was growing weed with the rest of it. But yeah, honestly, there's a very big property for very few sheep. Maybe they each had they would have had 2 acres each, the sheep, to run around in. See, that's where you get space from. She had 7 siblings and was in a very small place. And
now she's like, I must have my space. My sheep must have their space.
I agree there. So in 1880, Minnie's daughters, so she had her 2 daughters, they'd moved out by this stage, and she had adopted 2 others, Margaret and Esther.
Oh.
Yeah, so she'd adopted 2 others. Very cool.
What a good person.
Yes, at the time. At the time.
Not her future self.
Yeah. And then 4 years later, the land boom collapsed and Charles went bankrupt.
He could have sold
He could have sold
200.
He could have sold 299 acres of land, but So he was discharged 6 months later. I don't know what that means. Maybe he was sent to prison or something as well. I don't actually know. I should have looked into that before I read it out loud, but all good. But anyway, 6 months later, he was discharged from something or other. But by then,
keeps
the family
everyone
was
guessing.
destitute. Exactly, yeah. And they were destitute, so they were very poor, which would suck a lot because you can't afford alcohol. So it would be very hard. So about 3 years later, in 1887, Minnie, Charles and Margaret and Esther moved to Winton, where they took possession of the Larches. So the Larches was quite a big house. It was 2 stories and it had 7 or 8 bedrooms, and Minnie's aunt had helped them with it. Yeah, so that's where they got that from.
I was thinking they've just gone to broke to this flash-ass house.
Yeah, so...
Where's my flash-ass house? I'm broke.
I know. It's our time. Our time is coming soon. So it had 22 acres of land, so a downgrade from the 300, but pretty good for a free house. Yeah, pretty good for a free house, I think. So the house had also been abandoned 2 years earlier, so maybe it was haunted. Yeah, there's that too. So, unfortunately, the house burned down soon after.
Oh my god.
That's not funny.
Disaster after disaster.
Yeah, and an even bigger disaster. Charles built a 2-room cottage in his place. So, it's not really a disaster, but oh my goodness.
No, Charles. There's what? 4 of you?
Yes, 4 of them.
And 2
cottage.
Oh god.
Yeah, poor family.
Well, you trying to kick your children out or something? Oh, crikey.
Probably. They probably could have moved out by that point as well, to be honest. It's just the normal. So after the house was built, Minnie found one of her... So this is actually the last of this, but...
Oh, shit, another one.
Yeah, Minnie found one of her daughters and her daughter's 2 children. They drowned in a well. So it was thought that it was a murder-suicide, but it wasn't confirmed. So imagine, yeah, that's just...
Trauma.
Yeah, I can't even really joke about that. It's been quite lighthearted up until that point. But imagine, yeah, I don't even want to get into that. That'd be horrible.
It reminds me of Shutter Island. I love that movie.
Oh, I love that movie. That's
so good.
Yeah. So good. I might watch that later, actually. Anyway,
I love the ending. The ending's the best part.
Yeah, because it gets you, eh? Like, I remember the first time watching it, I was like, oh, what is that?
And then you watch it again and you're like, oh my God!
Yeah, I watched it one night and then the next night, like the very next night, I watched it again. This is so good. Side note, sorry.
Yeah, side note, watch Shutter Island.
Yes, please. It's very good. So, around this time, they began raising pigs, and Minnie started taking in unwanted babies for payment. So again, so this was known as baby farming. So she was doing her own little bit of farming. They were both farmers. But keep in mind again, so women with children with no partners, they found it very hard to get anywhere. So baby farming was quite popular because, of course, you get pregnant, especially with no birth control really either. You get pregnant and you wouldn't know what to do. So that's where she'd get babies from. So she could have up to 9 children under the age of 3 at once. I know, crazy.
No way.
Batshit crazy. I don't know how you do it.
I can't even handle me.
Yeah, let alone 9 of me under 3. So there was a legal agreement that was signed for most of the babies Minnie took in. So some of them were paid for, so up front. So there was 5 shillings to 8 shillings a week, or others were adopted for lump sums of between £10 and £30. So she was getting money for them. I don't even know how much a shilling or a pound is.
You should have worked it out.
Yeah, too much effort. It was a lot of money, I'm guessing, back then. So back in the late 1800s, just remember the New Zealand infant mortality rate at this time was estimated to be between 80 to 100 babies for every 1,000 live births. So that's almost 10% of babies dying after they've been born. And so it was quite likely that they'd just die due to illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Complications.
Moving on. Quite upsetting. Yeah, imagine that now though. Like if they were born and then 10% of them died. Oh, that's a huge percentage.
Yeah, that'd be very concerning at now times.
Yeah, hell yeah. So moving on. In 1889, a 6-month-old in Minnie's care died of convulsions after a 3-day illness. So again,
convulsions.
Sucks.
What's that?
Like the shakes.
Is it? Or is it like throwing up or?
I'm pretty sure it's the shakes.
Okay.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be like vomiting or something.
Yeah, well, they would have specified.
I just imagine it as a seizure. That's what I think of.
That's what it'll be.
And 2 years later, in March 1891, a 6-week-old baby died of inflammation of the heart valves and congestion of the lungs. So again, really sad, but likely, like it's still quite likely for them to pass.
I wonder how odd that is. Like, is it an odd thing or was it like a normal thing? Because what was it? Inflammation of the heart valves.
Yeah, and congestion of the lungs. So, well, actually, no. The next bit kind of explains it. Okay. So, what it was found by the medical witness that all the children in Minnie's care were well cared for, but they were just living in a bad place. So maybe it could have been like mold or something that had caused inflammation. I don't know.
That's
I don't
interesting.
know. Interesting. Well, it is. This is why we're doing a podcast. Yeah. But yeah, in all fairness though, back then those 2 babies could easily have passed by illness and it would have be true. Yeah. Just very, very normal. So Minnie was cleared of the blame, but she was advised to reduce the number of children living in her care at the Larches.
Good call.
Keep in mind it's a 2-bedroom, not even a 2-bedroom, 2-roomed cottage with up to 9 children under 3.
Very, very good call. Well-educated guess.
So it's the Larches, but it's the downgraded Larches because the other one burnt down. So then 6 weeks later, another child died. So by this point, it was thought by the public that Minnie was similar to baby farmers overseas who'd been convicted of murdering infants for financial gain. So she was getting paid for them, right? So if she were to do that, I'm guessing it would be the ones that were paid for in a lump sum, because otherwise she'd stop getting
she
the
wouldn't
weekly
get the
payments.
ongoing payments.
Yeah. So there were no more deaths after that, but, well, for a time. But there were rumours circling about children mysteriously disappearing. So Minnie was under police investigation at this point, of course, due to the other deaths. Like, she wasn't actively under investigation, but yeah. And she was trying to hide herself away from the public because the public were hating on her as well at this point.
I'd be a hater.
Oh, I would be a hater too.
I'd be a Minnie hater.
And she still kept on taking babies at this point.
I'd definitely be a Minnie hater.
Yeah, but she used different names, so you wouldn't even know if you were talking to her.
Yeah, you wouldn't know.
Yeah. Of course, like back then as well, they didn't even have photos, so she could just put, I don't know, a stick-on moustache on. I don't know. She could easily pretend to be someone else. She also tried to take out life insurance policies on some of them. Very dodge at this point. Very dodge. So investigations, because they were still investigating her, they came to nothing. And this was due to inadequate child welfare laws. And because of these, police had no right to enter or inspect the Dean property. And Minnie wasn't required to keep records or do anything really, just due to the laws. So they had the tides pretty much. Inadequate ones. I should have looked into this a bit more, but I did not.
Yeah, what laws there weren't any?
So in 1892, by the sounds of it, about 3 years later, Minnie adopted a 3-week-old baby off its mum for £25. 2 days later, police found them in a boarding house, and the baby was in dirty clothes and being fed sour and curdled milk. Very gross.
Poor baby.
Very, very, very gross. So the baby was taken to its mother, and she could hardly recognise it. So the police kept Minnie under surveillance for this, obviously.
Good decision.
So there's a different version of this as well. Someone at a Christchurch boarding house saw Minnie leave with a 3-week-old baby. He notified police, and the detective removed the baby from Minnie's care. So I'm guessing it was similar. I don't actually know.
One of those options.
Yeah. So something happened there anyway. So in 1895, a few years later again, Minnie was seen boarding a train to Winton and carrying a young baby and a hatbox. The same people, so the staff on the train, then saw Minnie on her way home carrying only the hatbox, and the hatbox was a lot heavier than when it first.
How do they know that?
Well, she must have stood out. You know when really attractive people just stand out to you and you
that is such a weird comparison to a hatbox, a heavy hatbox. How would you know if it's heavy?
Maybe they have many customers. Maybe, well, it's Invercargill. I suppose they don't. There's no one there. I don't know. That's a fair point, but apparently that's what happened. So it was a lot heavier than when she had first boarded.
Righto.
So Minnie was then seen collecting another baby at Clarendon Station.
Did her hatbox get heavier?
Well, I don't think 2 babies would fit in there.
You don't know.
I don't know how big a hatbox is.
I'm thinking
what if it's the one at the races? Maybe it's a big
well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking like a Mad Hatter hatbox.
Oh, maybe it could fit 2 babies in there. I don't know. We could test this theory.
No, we could not.
No, we could not. I don't even want to do
We could get like plastic dolls from the warehouse.
Let's do it.
But where the fuck are we going to get a hatbox from?
Yeah, I don't know. Oh well, worth a try. So prior to this trip, Minnie had taken another baby, Eva Hornsby, into her care. So Jane Hornsby was identified as the grandmother, and she'd given Minnie Eva at Clarendon Station.
Where's
so
the
that's
mum?
Oh, prior to this? Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know where the mum was. Maybe she went...
what a bad grandma.
Well, maybe she needed money. Who cares? I don't know.
You do not trade a baby for money.
Well, this is what the whole story is.
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah, back then was awful by the sounds of it. Just doesn't sound very fun. Also, this timeline's a bit out, but that's okay.
She needed money, so she gave the baby away.
Yeah, so...
For money.
So, yeah, pretty much. So she handed over... So Eva was 1 month old when she was given to Minnie. So she was missing by this point, obviously. Missing. So the police took Jane, the grandma, to the Larches, the 2-roomed cottage.
Yep.
And they found clothing belonging to Eva, but couldn't actually find her.
Okay.
Yeah. So, soon after, police found the bodies of 2 babies and another body of an older boy in Minnie's garden.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Backtracking.
Yeah.
So the grandmother then reported the baby as missing.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I kind of gets to that a little bit. Actually, no, I'll skip it through anyway. So, oh no, that's the wrong child. Never mind. Sorry.
No, carry on, go back. We're carrying on.
In Minnie's garden. Okay. The boy had been buried a while ago at 4 years old, but a cause of death wasn't established for him, so they didn't know how he died.
Too decomposed and too far behind with medical stuff.
Yeah, exactly. There was also an older baby, so a 1-year-old, and she was identified as Dorothy Edith Carter. And
Dorothy. What a lovely
nice
little name.
Yeah.
Edith.
Yeah, she was found to have died from an overdose of laudanum. I don't know what that is. No, I do. It says here, an opiate commonly used to soothe just anxious children. So she'd been overdosed on that. On that. And of course, I don't think a child can pick up and
opioids
keep
and
drinking or whatever.
chug.
Yeah. And the younger baby was the 1-month Eva Hornsby, and she was thought to have died of asphyxiation. So strangulation. Yeah. So by this point, Minnie was publicly branded a murderer by the coroner and the public.
Yes. Not surprising.
Understandable, yeah.
I mean, you find three bodies in a garden, what are you going to think?
Pretty much. And Minnie and Charles were both arrested.
Taking farming to a whole nother level.
Yeah. We're trying to grow more, maybe. That's so bad.
That is awful.
Funny though. Minnie and Charles were both arrested, but the charges against Charles were dismissed because, by the sounds of it, he didn't have too much
to do with it.
In anything. Yeah, he was probably too busy farming with his pigs or whatever he was doing. I don't know.
He's only on 2 acres, isn't he?
22.
Oh, 22
acres.
I was 20 off. My bad.
20 off. So on the 18th of June 1895, Minnie went on trial for Dorothy Carter's murder in Invercargill. So that was the 1-year-old that was found in the garden. So witnesses describe how she had collected Dorothy on the 30th of April at Bluff and returned to Winton for 2 nights, and then leaving again with Dorothy in an empty hatbox. So that's when she was seen at the station.
Oh.
Yeah. And by the time she'd collected Eva Hornsby at Clarendon Station, Dorothy had disappeared and Minnie's hatbox had become suspiciously heavy. So that's what I was saying before. So I'm guessing at this point Dorothy had died and was in the hatbox. Not very funny. Sorry, I shouldn't have sculpted that. When Minnie returned to Winton, she had only the heavy hatbox and some parcels with her. So Dorothy and Eva were both gone at this point when she got back to Winton. Under cross-examination, the woman who handed Dorothy over revealed that Minnie hadn't received any money for Dorothy. So they'd come to an agreement, but she hadn't actually received any money for her.
Okay, and that's why she reported her as missing. Because she wanted a baby back.
Well, no, because it was the other one. That was
shit.
Eva. So I don't know what happened with Dorothy. No, I was confused when I first read through this as well.
Too many children.
There's a lot of children in here. So the jury deliberated for only 30 minutes before they found Minnie guilty, and she was sentenced to death by hanging.
Ooh.
30 minutes is quite a lot of time, in all honesty. like, as not normally, but for this situation, she's the only one that could have done it.
So when they put in the death penalty, it's got to be without a reasonable doubt that every single person agrees that the death penalty should be in place.
30 minutes is just then, I think. That's pretty, yeah.
Yeah, that's short. So they've got to go over every single fact, and without any doubt,
but
they must know that this has happened.
There's no doubt at all. It was very obvious.
I know she said they found 3 children in her garden.
Yeah, crazy. Just crazy.
But I think 30 minutes is very quick as well.
Oh, very quick. Yeah, very quick, but not quick enough. She should have been, yeah. Minnie was asked if she had any reason for the sentence to not be given to her, so death by hanging.
Oh, God.
And she responded, "No, I've only to thank Detective McGrath for his for his kindness to me." So she'd been treated with kindness. I don't know.
It's interesting.
Whatever, yeah.
So she's admitted to it.
Yeah, an article also said that Minnie was the least concerned woman in the room after hearing the sentence. So she was just relaxed. Yeah, it is what it is.
I think that's a wee bit concerning.
Yeah, just a little bit. So her defence lawyer, A.C. Hanlon, claimed Dorothy's death was accidental. So the 1-year-old that was found in the garden. And she died from the overdose. However, on the 21st of June 1895, Minnie was found guilty and sentenced to death. Oh, I think I already said that.
That's all right.
That's okay. So Hanlon tried to appeal the verdict on the grounds of the inadmissibility of evidence of the other infant deaths. Because I didn't know anything about them, but he was unsuccessful. And so at Invercargill jail on 12th of August 1895, Minnie Dean was the first and only woman in New Zealand to be hanged. So there was a few other women as well who had that sentence given to them, but then they had them changed to life imprisonment or something or other. So she was the first and only woman hanged in New Zealand. Yeah,
I mean,
well deserved. I
props
think
to
us. Yeah. Well, props to us, and also well deserved by the sounds of it. On the day of her hanging, Minnie had no breakfast and had a sip of spirits given to her by the gaol surgeon. So I'm guessing it was just because she was quite nervous.
Loosen her up.
Yeah, just loosen her up a little bit. Before she was hung, she was asked if she had any last words. And she replied back to this, "No, except that I am innocent." So she's just claiming that she's innocent. Okay. Okay, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know how did those 3 people get into your garden?
Maybe it was the spirits that she got her too drunk. She's like, woo! As the hangman was about to pull the lever, she also said, "Oh God, let me not suffer." Fair enough.
Fair call.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd do the exact same.
Not a hater for that comment.
No, yeah, not a hater. So the hangman, his name was Tom Long. He was alcoholic. And just a little bit of a side story here. But the wardens originally did not let him drink before he was meant to hang Minnie. So of course if you're an alcoholic, you want to drink all the time. So this caused him to go on strike, so he wouldn't hang her until they finally let him drink whiskey before the hanging.
I mean, if I had to kill people for a living,
oh yeah,
I would question my alcoholic choices.
Yeah, I'd be too. Yeah, I'd be doing that. So fair enough, whiskey before hanging. Fair enough. He was also smuggled into the Invercargill jail, at the advice of the authorities. So I don't know actually why he was smuggled in.
She was allowed whiskey, but he wasn't allowed whiskey. That's not fair.
He was in the end. We got good. But yeah, it was a bit strange, But all good. I suppose maybe he was smuggled in because they might have had the public
so they can't tell them who the executors are.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because they'll get hate.
Yeah.
They get hate.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, oh no, very smart. So going back to her trial, Minnie never actually took the witness box. She did write a 49-page account of what she did, though. So again, she claimed herself to be innocent.
Did you?
She wrote 49 pages.
Did you find it?
No, I didn't. Because I think I was trying to go through all the articles. I even went onto a few pages of Google searching as well, and I went through all the articles and I couldn't really see anything.
Oh my god, that would be great to find.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. I wonder if it's readable though, because in the old days they had a real weird writing.
We'll call my mum in and she can read cursive.
Oh, very cool. Okay, well, we'll look into it for you guys. I'll have a look into it tomorrow because we won't be working.
You won't be.
Yeah. She stated that in addition to Margaret Cameron and Esther Wallace, whom she adopted in 1880, so those were the first two children that she adopted, 26 children, including Eva and Dorothy, had passed through her hands between 1889 and 1885. So 26 children in their time.
Jeez.
So she claimed that 7 children were adopted by families who wished to keep the adoption secret. So we don't actually know what happened with the 7. Yeah, what if she just killed them too? So she wished, so there were 7 of them, 6 were known to have died, and 1 was reclaimed by its family. And there was also 5 healthy and well cared for children back at the Larches. So 11, 12 out of the 26 children they know what happened to. So 14 children they don't know what happened to.
That's crazy. That's a lot of children. Plus
the 6 that died, so 20 children, up to 20 children could have died. It's, ridiculous, eh? It's pretty ridiculous. The police and the public believed that the missing children were murdered. Oh, basically what we were just saying. So up to 20 kids could have died. The possibility that there was some that had also been secretly disposed of after dying of illness or accident was not considered though. So again, keeping in mind they could have literally died from illness. But we'll blame her because she's, I don't know. That's mean. I don't want to say that.
Hopefully they were just misplaced, found by a loving family and raised beautifully.
Hope so. Yeah, let's hope so. So in response to public concern aroused by Minnie's activities and trial, remember the laws?
Yes.
So the Infant Protection Act 1893 was revised. So that was the laws, and it was strengthened in 1896.
Good.
So, good. Because of what that happened due to Minnie. So she's buried at Winton Cemetery alongside her husband Charles Dean. So he died in a house fire.
When was she passed? When did she pass away? Not pass. When did she die?
12th of August, 1895. Oh my goodness, that's this Friday.
Oh.
I can't work that out. No. Yeah, I can't work that out.
No, don't ask me either. And he died in
27 years ago.
1908.
Yeah, so so Charles died in a house fire at Winton in 1908, and he was 73.
Fires seem to be attracted to him, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Maybe he was a
Pyro.
Ooh, maybe. And he was 73. So I mean, a hard way to go, but he was a bit older, and that's impressive for early 1900s. So that's good. But yes.
Yeah, he lasted a long time, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, he did. Really
good on him. 10 out of 10. What an effort.
So there is some folklore. I always like finishing with a little bit of folklore, saying that no plants would grow on Minnie's grave. You'd hope not. I don't. Yeah.
If I was a plant, I would not.
No, we have choices. They are living things, and they have choose. So there was a flower that is also named Minnie Dean. And it said it should be torn out and burnt if it appears in a garden. So
now I'm going to have to flip and Google that.
Yeah, we'll post a picture of that on our Instagram. And and Facebook maybe. Minnie's name was also used to scare children in Southland. So
do they have like a nursery rhyme?
Yeah, well not like a rhyme, but they're just like, if you misbehave or if you don't eat your dinner, you're going to go missing and Minnie's going to take you home and you're never going to be found again.
Yeah, that'd keep me inside.
Oh, yeah. Screw that. That would definitely keep me inside.
No, I would not go outside.
No, hell no. And there's a song as well. I was listening to this at work, actually. It's called The Ballad of Minnie Dean, and it's by Marlon Williams and the Native Tongue Music. And it's a song about Minnie, obviously.
Is it worth the listen?
It's not too bad. It does repeat itself though. Like
Several
the chorus
times.
is good, but then it just keeps repeating itself. But it gets it into your head that she was a child murderer. So there's that. Yeah. So that's Minnie Dean, really. Up to 20 children.
Only female serial killer in New Zealand as well.
Yeah. Is she?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I suppose they would have been sentenced to death otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they don't really do that. We don't have a death penalty in New Zealand.
Oh, of course. I should know that.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah. But yeah, so first and only woman to be hanged. Well deserving by the sounds of it. If she is guilty, which she was found guilty, definitely well deserved for children. Those poor children. Up to 20 kids.
You know,
But
have you... Sorry, you go.
Oh, well, because her background too, like she travelled over from Scotland. Her mum died of cancer, and then she found one of her daughters and then her 2 grandkids in a well as well. That's got to be pretty. Oh, and then her house burnt down, and they went bankrupt. So there was a little bit going on with
There was a
background.
lot going on.
But you don't kill children.
You know,
for that.
I've got... the song that comes to mind is, for me, for this case, is... This is weird as... But Dixie Chicks have a song out called Goodbye Earl.
Goodbye, Earl.
And it's about killing this abusive man. And it's like, but Earl had to die. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
I've heard of that before.
But Minnie had to die. Da-na-na-na.
Oh, we got to chuck that on the Instagram too, I think. Just a link to the song or something. Oh yeah.
For some reason, I always thought Minnie Dean was like in a hospital, like caring for people in a hospital.
Well, she was still caring for people.
Boarding
but-
home. It was the boarding home.
Oh, well, that was mentioned there. So
Yeah,
that's where she got
okay.
a baby
Well,
from.
that's where I'm confused with.
Yeah. And it kind of was, it wasn't a boarding home, but it kind of was in a sense too. Like, she brought up kids at the
Home.
Larches, in her home. A very small home, but a home nonetheless. Just, like, it doesn't matter how small your house is, but you can't fit up to 9 children, and then yourself, and then
Your husband.
and then your other 2 daughters in the house with you, in a 2-roomed cottage.
I would assume her 2 daughters wouldn't be there by that point.
Well, no, because she had 4, so she had 2 when she first came to New Zealand, or was pregnant with one or whatever, and then she adopted 2 more.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so they
I'm
might
with
be
you.
there too. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
That was a brutal case.
Yeah, but a bit interesting.
Invercargill, crikey.
Yeah, so it was one of the Invercargill ones. Sorry to anyone from Invercargill. I promise it's not that bad a place.
I
Well,
know,
I
I
can't
haven't been
promise
there.
that. I think I've only been there. Actually, I've only been there once. I can't judge. But yeah, there was a case of Minnie Dean. So thanks for listening, guys. I'm Andi.
And I'm Ayla.
And that was
Sinister Dynasty.